Hello, everybody. My name is Bakhan Doina, and the position of Associate Technical Manager for CE, Russia, and CIS inside the Cisco Networking Academy. Today, I'm going to deliver to you a webinar on the subject of Passport 21. Now, you might have heard of Passport 21 to Entrepreneurship a lot of times during the Cisco Networking Academy program so far. I don't know exactly how many of you have used it. I know it is scarcely used, and this is why I am doing this conference and this webinar right now. My intentions for the hour that we're going to be spending together is to not only tell you what Passport 21 is about, but also do demos for you to show you how you can better present these offerings to your students and how Passport 21 can greatly enhance the dynamics that you have together with your students. Without further ado, let me present you my agenda. My agenda for today consists of starting to present the Passport 21, what it is and how you can use it. Then I'm going to show you guys how to access Passport 21 inside the NetAcad interface. And then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to teach these offerings and how to go to your students with them and have the best and the desired effect by using them in a classroom. The last component of my presentation is going to be about Cisco Aspire. Now, you might have heard about Cisco Aspire. It's actually a very, very interesting platform. It's a gaming platform. It's very innovative. It's meant to take entrepreneurship skills that we start telling our students about in Passport 21 and take them to the next level, to the level in which they can actually apply them in a simulated business environment. Now, you know that the Cisco Networking Academy is quite an experienced program. Within this program, we have always tried to get the best experience to our students, and one way of doing that is to gather feedback through all the steps that we went through from our students and, of course, from our instructor community. Now, what we have been hearing in the past 5 years is that although we have very strong technical skill set that we deliver to our students, in order to keep the competitive edge inside the industry, our students must also have a good idea about what being an entrepreneur means, about what having business sense means, what is a business plan, and how should one behave when a student goes inside the commercial and the industrial world. Now, look at this slide, and I want you, when looking at it, I want you to process it from the left to the right, because this is kind of the history of the way we have done things inside NetAcad. We started by teaching our students technology skills, right? You can see right at the bottom is what you learn. We started telling them knowledge, what they should learn. And we had networking, security, subjects as wireless, basic computing, configuration, troubleshooting, and a wide ranges of networking technologies. When the internet evolved and when the communication platform evolved to what we now call Web 2.0, we started introducing our students to 21st century skills that were concentrated around communities, about communicating in that community, and how right now in the world of today, a student learning any technical topic, not just Cisco, should not be alone in doing so. He has a very powerful community that he can access, and by doing so, he can be much more efficient in the way that he's learning, that he's studying, that he's going through the entire education process. And this gave our students problem-solving skills. This gave them initiative-taking skills, because all of a sudden, they would get visibility with their peers, with people interested in the same subjects as they were. Now, the future, we believe, lies in entrepreneurial skills. Right now, so our students will keep that competitive edge that we want them to have. We want to give them a mindset, and this mindset is one of innovative thinking that we believe is going to build for them social and personal responsibility and business management skills. We want to teach them how they should think, because by default, students coming from a technical background do not have knowledge about the difference between an idea, an opportunity. When the idea comes, does the opportunity exist? And if the opportunity exists, how should one invest in it? How should one make a business plan in order to harvest from an idea to a working, manageable business? So this is the overview that I wanted to tell you. This is exactly what we're trying to do with Passport 21. So now that I gave you the objective, let me tell you what you can do as an instructor to help your students acquire that objective. So what is Passport 21? To get straight to the point, Passport 21 are optional learning materials that supplement Networking Academy curricula. Now, you're going to have these in NetAcad because we believe that a one-stop shop, a one portal where you access everything is very important. And through these resources on NetAcad, you'll help your students prepare for those 21st century skills that we talked about. Now, to get even more in depth about what this is, these are 7 case studies. You can see them in the right side of my PPT. These case studies are in the form of the CCNA Discovery Exploration curricula. You know, they kind of look like the curricula, so we give our students a consistent experience. And they also have packet tracer simulation activities attached to them. Now, you're going to use these case studies to take your students from the basics of what having an idea means to a lot of experience stuff, to outsourcing, to gathering feedback, to improving and making sustainability plans. As I've told you, the Passport 21 is available in NetAcad. Now, it is available and can be accessed in 2 main ways. The first one is global access. You have a link to Passport 21 right under the alumni link inside the NetAcad interface. And from that link, each and every one of your students, if you want to broadcast a message to all your students in your academy, you should tell them you log into the academy page and then you have a link to Passport 21. Okay, that's great. That's great for a broadcast message. But if you want to make the experience more personal, if you want your students to be able to access the Passport 21 from inside the class as a resource of the class and only in your specific class, you can activate it on a per class level. And when you're doing these exercises with your students, this is what I'm recommending you to do. To activate it inside the class, not to use the global link that you see on this slide, because that gives it a more personal flavor and offers you the control you need in the assessment that you're doing with your students. Now, as I've told you, we think that it's very important to keep a very consistent experience. This is how one of the case studies looks like. We have study modules in each of the study cases, and these evolve exactly how a curricula, a normal going through the chapters of a curricula would evolve. Now, we don't just got text here. Don't imagine that we're just going to lay text on students to give them a tutorial about how to make their business. No. We use actors, we use realistic scenarios, we use video, we use the entire power of the multimedia to engage students in what we believe is 90% of scenarios where entrepreneurs from the real world start to get their businesses going. Let me get down to the actual case studies. The first one, you got to read this from left to right, right? So the first one, charging for expertise. Now, this is going to be focused I'm telling students how to recognize expertise, how to recognize an idea, which ideas, are worth investing in, and which ideas are not. They're going to learn how to take an idea that is just, this might be cool to implement, right? Might be cool to have in the networking world, and how to have a generated income out of that idea. Now, in this first phase, when the student gets the idea, then he thinks of a way of making money from the idea. He's going to have to pitch it, right? He's going to have to pitch it somewhere, to management, to investment corporations, to something. So you're going to teach him to create a presentation and how to provide good customer service as a feature of that presentation. In the next case study, it's called Starting an Internet Cafe. They will actually get to do a very small business. They will write the business plan for that internet cafe. They're going to have to think about revenue, think about return of investment, and make decisions like a real entrepreneur would. They're going to move on through making a business successful, through taking initiative and promoting their business, to use the power of the social networks that we have right now, because it's an incredible power. Think about it. In the last 3 years, marketing and the way that we promote and we see products has totally changed since social media was brought on board. We no longer use broadcasts on mail. We use more efficient things like Facebook pages, like stirring up things on Twitter, like transmitting everything through all the communications channels that we have. Through the enablement of a business, students are going to learn how to prepare their company for scaling, for using broadband services and accessing the business performance that they're going to be able to have once they scale their business. In the last 2 case studies that we have for them, we're going to teach them how to really go into the scaling world by using outsourcing, and how to build a contracting business by creating its fundamental structure and then expanding from that structure. So this is the outline of the case study. This is what you're going to be taking them through. The beginning of an idea to getting a business plan out there, to getting feedback for the business plan and how to review it, and how to scale their business afterwards. So you see, this is not just an introduction. This goes through the entire process of what a business should look like. And even though, and you should emphasize this to your students, when presenting this, you should tell them, guys, this is not going to be a 100% sure you're going to make it in the first business that you go into. No, because that's not what entrepreneurship is about. Entrepreneurship is about testing it 10 times and getting it right the 11th time. But you should emphasize going through this kind of program is going to give them a head start that nobody else has into knowing how these things should work. And they're going to it's going to give them much more confidence when they're going to actually do it in the real world. For each of these case studies, I want to give you some time intervals, because it's very important as an instructor, and I know this. I have a very great path of being an instructor inside the Cisco Networking Academy, almost 6 years. So when you're delivering content to them, I know it's very important to set their expectations, to tell them how much that activity, how much time is it going to take. And this is why I want to give you an estimate, right? So you have on these slides an estimate for what going through the case studies with them might take you, and then doing the associated Cisco Packet Tracer lab inside that activity. You see some activities have labs, some activities don't have labs. Please feel confident to use these presentations and use these slides to guide yourself when you're actually delivering this information to your students. Also, I believe that it is always helpful to set expectations for students of the activity that you're doing with them, right? So before you're doing, for example, the charging for expertise case study, you should tell them, guys, in this first case study, what we're going to be starting with is how you should do a research process, how you should have social responsibility, and how your presentation skills are going to help you sell your idea when the opportunity arises, and then get to implementing it. So this is a recommendation from me. Before you do the case studies, tell them the skills that they will acquire by doing this test with you. That is basically Passport 21 to Entrepreneurship. That is what I wanted to present to you from what the concept is. Now let's see how you access it. Now, I have a lot of slides here about teaching and accessing it, but I will prefer right now to share another application, and that will be two of my browsers, and show you how you can access Passport 21. Okay. So right now you should be seeing my browser, my Firefox. Now, my Firefox is my student homepage. You see it? It's a student class. I am a student. You see here student home. And the class is called CCNA1 Test. And this is a dummy account. I am Bogdan Doinar here, you see, is the instructor of the class, and you will see my instructor page in just a couple of seconds. But first of all, I want you to take a look at the student page. Now, inside the student page, under assessment and grades, you have only take assessment and you have grade. Now, let's look at what happens, just a second, when I go inside. Just a second, I'm going to be sharing also the instructor view with you guys. Okay. Let's see what also happens on the instructor page. Okay, so right now you can see my instructor page. You see I have your instructor home, and you see the instructor class home page. It's the same class. It's the CCNA 1 test class. And if you go to gradebook right here, this is the test student IPD account that I am using for the purpose of this demo. Now, I've told you that when you're doing this exercise with your students, it's very well, or a very good suggestion to activate Passport 21 for them inside their class, so they would have a more personal experience with the program. You scroll down to Passport 21 materials down here, and you have a link called Manage Student Access. Let's go on that link. And here you have the possibility of activating the free case studies associated with the CCNA1 class and the Cisco Aspire game. I haven't told you a lot about Cisco Aspire game. I will do that in this webinar. But first of all, let's see how the activation will work. Let's just activate Cisco Aspire 2 starting now. So we would have it already activated when we get to that part of the presentation. And you press save and return to class. Okay? Now let's see what happens inside the student page. Inside the student page, if we refresh this page, you see that right now, besides assessment and grades, you also have the Passport 21 to Entrepreneurship offering. And you have the free case study, Charging for Expertise, Starting an Internet Cafe, Taking the Initiative, and the Cisco Aspire game. Now let's try to open one of them. Okay? And this is the interface. You can go through it exactly how you go through a curriculum. You have chapters that you're basing your studies on. Okay? And I think you got the idea of what activation means and how your students can then activate it and work through it. And after you activated it, all you need to do is go with your students through that study case, read the frequently asked questions that you have in the course catalog in Metacat, read the guideline that was specifically created for instructors. You can find it here at the course catalog, and you will know exactly what steps to go to when presenting these case studies to your students. I don't have a lot of time in this webinar, and that's why I'm not taking you through the self-paced instructor materials that you have in the course catalog, but I do recommend that you take a look at those. Okay, let's stop the sharing for my browser and get back to the presentation. Now, I told you what Passport 21 is. I've told you how to access it, both globally if you want to broadcast the message, and personally if you want to value the interaction that you have with your students in your class. I'll only show you how you teach it. What I want to emphasize in teaching it, besides what you have in the course catalog, is use Passport 21 Instructor Community. The URL is community.metacat.net. You've probably heard of it. There's been a lot of buzz on this platform for the last year or so, but I don't know how much you managed to browse through it and look through it. Well, inside this community site, this is a global site, right? So this is for all the instructors in the world. When I was teaching and Passport 21 came up about 2 years ago, I went on this site on the community.metacat.net, and one instructor from some country in the Middle East, I think, had posted some quizzes. And these were quizzes in the form of PDF files or Word files, I think, that you can print out and have questions from inside the study cases. Now, that is amazing, you know, because I don't have any quizzes on these study cases, but to give the students a complete experience, because he's used to going through the curricula and then taking the quiz or the test, it might be a good idea to have a quiz. And after you do the activity with them, this is going to directly give them a feedback of how well they understood what they did with you. And you can find those quizzes on the community site on the Passport 21 page. And the quizzes were just one of the first things added. You can find a lot of resources there from all over the world regarding what different instructors did with this case study, because there are an infinite number of ways of being creative, and this is one of the activities that you can get creative with your students with. So I strongly recommend to you that you check the community page out before doing the activity, because you want to get as much as possible from it. Okay, so this is a classroom community file. This is classroom aids I talked about. Moving on to the second part of my presentation, this is going to be the Cisco Aspire game. Now, you saw in the demo that I did earlier with sharing the browsers that I also activated the Cisco Aspire. Now, when the Aspire link is going to come up in the student interface, the student is going to be able to click on it and to save it. He's going to obtain a direct executable installation copy of the game, and then he's going to be able to install it on the disk. Now, take care, installation might last some time, so just so you measure this correctly with the time you're allocating for these kind of activities, it's going to take from 5 to 10 minutes to actually install the game. It's a very complex game. It has to install a lot of things. Let me just get right into it and show it to you. So if you've ever played something like SimCity or Sims or games like this interface is going to look very familiar to you. What Cisco Aspire is, it's a simulation-based game, and it simulates experiential learning. That means learning how to do a business while being influenced by events in the real world. You're going to see that once you step into this world, a lot of random events are going to happen throughout the day. The game is in real time, so It has night, it has day, it has different places that you can go in, and different actors inside the game that you can interact with. For example, somebody might come at you, might take your phone call, might phone you up and ask you if you want to do a contract for them. Somebody else might come with a business proposition. Somebody might come with a job. You can choose to do whatever you want. You can choose to do a full-time job or start your own business. You can choose to do a part-time job and do your own business at the same time. It depends on your choices because, hey, in the game, as in real life, you only have one working day in which to do everything for yourself. The game has a lot of complex layers. It has multiple levels. It has problem injectors, you know. The decisions that you take in the game, just like the decisions that you take in real life, are going to influence the game works out in the end. Somebody might come to you with a proposition to collaborate with a bank. If you're going to turn it down, that might mean that that bank is not going to be so motivated in the future to contact you again. But if you're going to take up their offer, that could mean that the competitive bank is not going to come to you. So the game was built fundamentally to simulate as much of the competition and as many of the problem injection skills that exist in the real world. From the gameplay point of view, Aspire is a single player. It's a locally run application. You run it on your PC and your students run it on their PCs. Right now you have 4 game levels and you have a lot of contracts, missions, and quizzes that you can do on those game levels. You also have a lot of institutions that you can interact with that you would interact in the real world. You're going to pay taxes, you're going to want to make loans sometimes for the bank, or go to the learning center and learn more. So your technical level is going to improve, and the level of technical solutions that you offer is also going to improve. Now, the game is also going to put you full front to decision making, right? For example, in the very first mission, you're going to have to choose if you buy refurbished or you buy new equipment. Now, this is going to save you from your money, but it might in the end affect the quality of your implementation. If you're a smart guy, if you're a smart admin, you might be able to do everything with the refurbished equipment too. But you have to compensate knowledge over money over business skill. And that is something really interesting to do in a game. It's also going to reach out to subjects like social responsibility and ethics. You're going to have the possibility of donating money, of investing your time, of investing your money. Also, ethics is going to be a big deal in this. And everything that you see here, these skills, are going to be skills attached to your character. So if you ever played in your younger years a game and your character has something like attack points and defense points and stuff like that, so does your character in Aspire. His skills are based on what you do. And those skills are going to be enhanced or are going to be lowered relative to your ethics, relative to your financial management, to the way you treat your customers. Right now, I'm going to be stopped talking from a theoretical point of view about Aspire and actually show you how you would do the first contract in this game. Now, I already went on the student link and have downloaded the game as a student in this class. I already have the game started up, and right now you should see the Aspire game on my sharing. Could you please confirm on the chat or Q&A window that you right now see the Aspire game interface? This is a very important demo that I want to do for you guys, so this is why I want an acknowledgement for you. Can you please tell me if you can see the Aspire? Yes, but no game sound, says Alexander. Okay. Indeed, I have turned off the sound. And this is because I don't want my voice through the microphone going back through the audio and the audio going inside the microphone, and that would only bring us more technical problems inside this recording. It does have sound, you're going to experience that, you're going to use it for yourself. Now, I have created a profile. Let me insert my password, 123, the standard password. And I'm not going to hit load game. I'm going to sacrifice my save game just in order to show you guys how a new game will look in. Okay, get new game. I got a short video about what Aspire is, just in case my instructor didn't tell me. We're not going to go for the video. We're just going to say start game. So let's okay, might take a couple of seconds just loading up. But we're patient instructors, we have time. And ta-da, the game interface. And already, you see in the left top corner, we have a call on our mobile phone. Let's answer the call with an opportunity just as we came into the game. And this is Maria. If you're going to go to the Passport 21 with your instructor, you're going to meet Maria. She's a very nice and charming character in the Passport 21 offering. Hello, Banga. She called me to invite me to renovations on Internet Cafe. And there's a pitch inside there, you see? She said she might need a little help. I'm going to say, hey, yeah, I can help you. I'm a helpful guy, right? That's listen. Okay? Now, as soon as I hit yes on that button, a mission or a task appeared over this building. Now, if I go over the building, it's going to tell you that it's a laundromat. It's the Internet Cafe that I was talking about. Now, every building that you can interact with, and you're going to be able to interact with a lot of buildings, is going to have this kind of revolving sphere over. For example, the network equipment store, to go and buy equipment. I can go back to my home. I can go to the bank, take a loan, put a deposit up. And the learning center is going to offer me technical topic knowledge in order to do the missions inside the game. So you see, it's a pretty enhanced and pretty well put together idea. Now, before I go to Maria and help her out, let's check out the game interface a little more. I was telling you before the real time, you see, on the top bar here, you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. These are the real time which you're going through. You don't have any missions this day. You actually have the option to advance time by 1 day. If you have finished your mission very fast and want to fast forward things towards day deadline, you have day and have night, and you can use these two in order to and you can use daylight and you can use nighttime in order to set up your tasks and set up what you have to do. You also here have your profile information. You have game progress. It's going to tell you how many contracts have you completed. Also, badges. You can get badges if you do your job really, really well here in the badge section. In the personal section, your stats, your statistics. These are your skills, the one that I mentioned earlier. You have the way you do money management, business sense, reputation, configuration, troubleshooting, and physical lab. All these are your skills. Depending on how well you do your jobs and how well you do your contract, these skills are going to dynamically improve or lowered by day. This is so just, it gives you a very clear feedback on how well you're doing it in the game. In your inventory, you're going to have all your physical possessions, let's say. All the routers, switches, wireless devices that you're going to buy and you're going to use inside the contract that you do. You also have your phone. Right now, you only have Maria's number inside the phone. You can add other contacts if you want to do so. You can call her up. You can go to the home page. You can see your missed calls. You also have a kind of a roadmap for what the active contracts are, the completed or the failed. And of course, you've got your options dialog button that can offer you the possibility of saving the game or configure other parameters for things. Now, I trust that I've gotten you accustomed to what the game options are. So let's just dive inside our very first contract. And once we go to the laundry, Maria offers us a contract of $3,000. Well, that's pretty good for our first contract. So we're going to accept and see what Maria wants to do. When this happens, you get teleported inside the Aspire interface. And what it tells us is the mission statement, what the contract actually requires of us. Maria tells us to go to the store and buy 4 PCs. Also, she gives us a does not want laptops or wireless PCs. If you buy laptops or wireless, she's gonna in the end accept it. You a quick hint, but she's not gonna be very happy, and neither will your sister. But she tells us if they have any deal on refurbished PCs, because this would be her desire. And secondly, she wants us to buy them on the counter. And once this dialog has appeared, also on our, you see on our day, on our roadmap calendar through the day, we have a deadline set for this task. By Sunday, we have to do the contract. Now, it all looks pretty nice and easy when you don't have anything else to do on the following day. But once the game gets more and more complicated, you're going to find yourself very busy inside doing a lot of things in the technical aspect, but also a lot of business implementation. Okay. Get $3,000 inside our account. And now let's go to the store. We did this with our preview. And we saw the stories here. Let's go to the store. And a very helpful lady from the store pops up. She tells us if she can help us to find something. This would be kind of like in the real world where a store clerk might come in and help you. But right now we want to just check out the interface of the store. So we're going to say no for now and maybe accept her help later on. Now here we have the store. We have a wide range of things to buy. From a copper spatial cable to different routers that you use, to different multimedia that you use. You can also buy a sports car if you choose to do that. So the options are very, very varied for the several missions that you're going to have in the game. But right now, we just want to buy the PC, right? The refurbished PC. So, after the refurbished PC, let's buy 4, added that to the shopping cart, and let's raise the quantity for PCs. Okay, that should be good, and we're going to check out. Check out, $12,000 get extracted from my total of dollars, which you see on my profile page. Now, it's all about all I need to do in the store. So I just hit this CV2, click again, go back to it. Okay? Two other events have been added on my work calendar regarding bills that I have to pay. But we're going to see about that later. Let's finish up the contract with Maria. So you see, right now, what I did is highlighted in red. I did go to the store and buy the refurbished PCs. That was all great. But I still have to place the PCs on the counter in the cafe. Let's try to do that. Now, right now, I'm going to show you something really, really exciting about the game. And you're going to see it when I click this button here under Maria's photo. Ta-da! It's all built over Packet Tracer. Everything you can do in Packet Tracer, you can do inside this game. I know, it's amazing. It's fully integrated into Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer has been modified so it supports Cisco Aspire game. You have the panel here of devices, of routers, of switches, and also the custom-made devices. And you can take them just as you would take a router and drag and drop them onto the counter. Just like Maria asked us to do, okay? And not only will you be able to place them inside the space, and you see the light here going green, but you can also have the Packet Tracer interface of configuring these PCs. And you're going to have the same interface for configuring routers, for CIGRP topology, for connecting this to the internet, and all the possible things that you can do. So not only does this game put you front and front on your students, face to face, with business and entrepreneurial decisions and the world, but also gives you all the technical power that you need to implement networks. So it's the best possible out of everything's fine with Maria, and she also gave us a number, a phone call number for Judy Jones. Because she did such a good job, she has decided that she would recommend it for another contract. Okay? DC has it for some kind of time, and so back to the studio. You see that you have your final PC in the contract that you have done. Now, going through the game, a lot of other things are going to pop up. It's going to pop up paying your taxes. You can go to the bank, for example. If you're short on money, you can take a loan. If you're very good on money, take a deposit inside the bank just to do it the real world. By now, I think you guys have gotten the idea of what the potential of this game is. And trust me, I have just showed you the first and most simple contract. There are a lot of such things that are going to challenge your students into thinking like an entrepreneur, implementing those commands, those topologies that you did with them inside the CCNA Discovery or Exploration course. I'm going to stop the sharing to Cisco Aspire and go back to wrap up our presentation. So, you've seen Cisco Aspire, and so have we, and we've tried to do a trial with our students to get feedback from them. And in the questions of I increase my entrepreneurial skills and I increase my networking skills, we got high percentages, over 50% in both cases, that students strongly agree that this helped them a lot. If you haven't tried Cisco Aspire in your classroom by now, please do so. I definitely recommend it to you. It's going to be fun to do with your students, and it's definitely going to add to that experience that we, as Cisco instructors, are trying to offer our students. Thank you so much for listening to me today. This is a summary of my presentation. I started by talking about Passport 21 to Entrepreneurship and what we want to do with the program. I showed you how to access this Passport 21, how to teach it, and we finally wrapped everything up by talking about the Cisco Aspire simulation game and a demo of the very first contract that we did in this game. I'm gonna go right back to inside the presentation, and I'm gonna thank you guys for attending my webinar today. If you have any kind of questions that you want to give to me, I will just put up my mail address. It's my Gmail address right now. I'm fairly new in the Cisco team and don't have my Cisco address fully set up right now. But if you want to contact me, please do so on bogdan.doina@gmail.com address for any kind of question. And let me just remind you, I'm going to give you the http://lms.metacat.net. If you want to access this recording or you want to access this presentation or anything else that me or Jack or the entire technical advocacy team wants to offer you, because this is our job, please access this portal. It's a one-stop shop. You get everything for there. Thank you so much for attending the session, and